Well, hello everybody. This is your friendly neighborhood Tenkai Puki 7, and this is the Tenkai Talk. This week, or rather this weekend, has been some hell of a weekend. I speak of the current fan game that is still in circulation known as AM2R. AM2R is short for another Metroid 2 remake. And this one is done so right. It is a fan game that is done so right because it was inspired by Metroid 2: The Return of Samus on Game Boy. And if you remember how the color scheme were when you're trying to get colors onto it, some were okay while others were just more worse than others. And of course, we all know the Metroid franchise has been around since the mid 80s. And it's another 30-year game that deserves something proper. This game not only became an inspiration to other well-known games, such as Castlevania and Guacamelee, but other games that basically wanted to become like Metroid. Like say the only Steam game that I know that plays just like Metroid, Axiom Verge. The game is all about exploration, in which that's what you're doing. You're exploring it just like you were playing a normal Metroid game. What I find interesting about it is, I've seen three of my friends actually play through the game, or actually show snippets of the game. And I heard the same thing. That it is what Metroid fans really want. They want a callback to the original. I mean, yes, while first person may be fine on with Metroid Prime and everything, there's nothing wrong with a little love letter to the original. And AM2R delivers that. You see, the guy who actually made AM2R, he spent a solid 8 years. I almost said 80. A solid 8 years. And not only devoting himself to making this, but making it to a point in which a fan game should be. Now, of course, Nintendo had to have a say about it. They had ordered a cease and desist after the fact that it was released. Now, well, I can understand it's just about it's about the DMCA or whatnot, but I can also understand that if a fan actually makes a proper game based off a familiar franchise, an already existing franchise, then you shouldn't slap the cuffs on them. No. At the very least, what you should do is give the guy a job. We were talking about this last night on Discord. Before I myself, we were both talking about this on Discord, and I agree with what you said. If you have this kind of potential, you should be getting a job from that. The company itself that offers you a cease and desist shouldn't do that, but instead, have them work for you. And let me tell you something. Many companies do not see the potential in certain people. They only see, have you ever played a game in which it's from any kind of company? It don't have to be well known, but, it's done a certain way. The game is done a certain way. And you would have to basically, give it a fair shake on what a game should be, how it should run, how it should work, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. And I mean, what you don't like about it doesn't mean, oh, it just sucks because it sucks. Point blank. No, that's just a weak comment. I've seen many a game and played many a game that was either offered to me or told me flat out through email, oh, we want you to look through this game. We want you to review this game and tell us what you think about it. So most times whenever I get a new game straight from the developers, or they give me a code to use just to get it for free, okay, it's a free game, they're offering me it, okay, I should look at it. And most times when I read something like the header, when I read the header of a game and it says inspired by this, and you don't see now one of that inspiration that is said when it's inspired by, I have questions that need answers. Okay, like if I were to pull up my Steam list now, I have a couple of games that are basically like, there are some that are terrible knockoffs of other games. And if you've seen my Steam list before, you know that I have a lot of games. Most likely they're a mixture of action RPG, turn-based RPG, strategy RPG. Sometimes I have a few platformers. Sometimes I have point-and-click adventure games and such. Other times I have multiplayer games. And what have you. And I say this about Nintendo. Don't look at something like AT2E as a threat. This is what you should be working on. You have talented game developers in your offices that are dying to actually work on something that doesn't have anything to do with money. Let them work on a game in which they can be proud of just because, hey, this is a good game. This is a real good game. Don't call it cease and desist. No, what you should do. It's like, no, give the guy a job. Have him work with your developers. Have him, I mean, if he's a big boon to you, hook him up. You don't know. It's probably one thing that most gamers out there need. They just need a shot. I'm one of the very few people that say I'm not one of those kind of people that deserve that kind of shot. I mean, I'm patient. I'm very patient when it comes to, the big break happening. When it comes, I'm going to take it. But right now, it's just not going to be, I got to do this right now because, oh, hey. No, it takes it takes a certain type of devotion. 8 years upon doing a game, a fan game that most people know about, but but really wanted to play. And it's funny how this one fan game made it out onto a social media circuit like Facebook. When I read about this, I was actually surprised because like after the initial launch day, I should say, I heard about what happened and read about it on Facebook. I'm like, that's a first. It really is. It really is a first. It's not only is the game recognizable, but for this 2016 is 30 years of celebrating two franchises. One is Metroid, the other is Transformers. So on my end, I'm celebrating Transformers for 30 years. For other people, they might do Metroid games. They might do Classic. They might do Zero Mission. They might do Fusion. They might do Prime. It doesn't matter. But nobody in their right mind would want to pick up Federation Force. I mean, come on now. If it is one of your own franchises, then you should take in the knowledge that, oh hey, if one guy can actually pull off doing something that a whole team could easily do, that they could possibly keep in secret, and just like, okay, eight years, I think I have it. I think this is it. This is the one. I say, look, I mean, I got the game myself. I haven't played it, but I've seen enough of it to know what to do when I do play it. Now, I'm not going to let's play it. That's the one thing. I'm not going to let's play it. I might do a review of it, but I'm not going to let's play it. If anybody going to do it, it's any of the RCO crew that knows Metroid like the back of their hand. There's two I know that, well, two I know on top that know it like the back of their hand. And that's 40 Warrior and Ryu from Breath of Fire. Those are the only two guys I know that know Metroid like the back of their hand. Big is another person who knows Metroid, but for him it's been quite long since he actually played a Metroid game. Not Metroidvania, just a Metroid game. And like I said before, it is a game that basically inspired, the element of exploration to Castlevania. Metroid basically is that. It's like playing Spelunker. That's what you're basically doing. In a sense, you're doing a lot of spelunking. You're exploring caves, but instead of caves, you're exploring colonies. Getting rid of anything that comes in contact with you and wants to do you harm. Including threats like bosses. So, with that said, all I can say is AT2E has had multiple reviews, and all of them being very positive. That's rare when you hear a game that gets so many reviews and it's not even done by a name brand. Now think about it. There have been others who, back in the day, has basically made some really good games. I'm talking about Konami. I'm talking about Capcom. I could say Nintendo. But Nintendo has always brought out some really good games. Even Sega. I could also say EA because they brought out Mass Effect. I don't care if it's BioWare now. But they brought out Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and they at one time had some good Electronic Arts games. Like, say, Skate or Die, Battletoads. Even though, even though it's done by Trade West, I'm talking about the arcade version. Even though Trade West was behind it, Electronic Arts played a part in the whole designing of the game. Probably the publishing too, but they were part of the whole team of making that one game. And of course, Electronic Arts, famous for making their EA Sports games. But long before they made that, they made some pretty okay games. But again, we're going back to people who can actually make a game, put it out online, and, if it makes him capital, he earned every bit of that. I'm pretty sure he made some good capital off that. And he wasn't even trying to make capital. But the thing is, game companies, developers, y'all need to work on going back to what you did, which is you make a game just because you love it, not just because you want to see $1. And I've said this before. I understand it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of devotion to be a part of a project in which has been around since we were kids. Some of us have heard of the title. Some of us have never played even a bit of the series. And even if we did, if we know it like the back of our hand, oh hey, then that's really saying something, That really is. I mean, take for instance, back in the day, which in the early 80s, Capcom had Mega Man. They not only had Mega Man, but they had Strider Hiryu. 1943. Section Z. Vogus XEs. A prototype game which was now released called Titan Warriors, which was a sequel of Vulgus, which was their first shooter, their first game. VARF, Operation Thunderbolt. Even Street Fighter. They had so many titles that they can run off from the back of their head. Even the stuff that they had on Nintendo, like the Disney stuff, like Mickey Mouse Capade, DuckTales, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. You name it, they did it, and it was good. Even for Super Nintendo, Goof Troop. They were just like, You know, they were just making games like this, and yeah, some were challenging than others, but it was fun. They had no problem with that. And I see no problem with that. I look at I look at another series that I find myself playing as we speak, and I'm rediscovering why I love the series so much. And that's Namco Bandai's Tales series. And as most of you know, I'm doing that as a Let's Play on my channel. And slowly but surely, I'm rediscovering why I find this to be my absolute favorite of the many Tales games that I own. I mean, sure, I only have like 3, 4, 5 Tales games on hand on my desktop that I haven't done yet. And I have Fantasia, Innocence. I'm still doing Innocence, by the way. I have Tales of Destiny, Symphonia, Zestria, which I do not have installed yet, but I probably will. And in my personal collection, I have mainly the one game I had on GameCube was my first one, which was Tales of Symphonia. And then they made the terrible sequel called Dawn of the New World. It really was a terrible sequel. I'm not going to even lie. It shouldn't have never been made, because it really doesn't make sense. The whole story itself does not make sense. Plus, the final dungeon was such a dick. That's besides the point. But I had other Tales games, like I had Abyss, Legendia, I forget the other names, but I have Tales from the Abyss, Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Legendia. I have still quite a few good Tales games. And like I said, I point that out as a good series because it's a series that has always been taken care of. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take care of a series. Not just let it go like that. Just let it fall apart. So many games have been forgotten through time because most companies and or developers tend to forget. Oh, we made that once. Why did we not keep working on it? Game companies and or developers need to understand. You shouldn't be afraid of getting your hands dirty. I mean, hell, if you can call out third-party content on YouTube just because somebody shows off a Mario game or a Contra game or anything of the sort, y'all can rack your heads together, work something out, and say, oh, hey, this guy got some good stuff. We should hire him. We should have him meet our development team. Work something out, you know? Just, you have to. Because Games should not be about the almighty dollar. Games should never be about the almighty dollar. It's supposed to be, you deliver something that's really good that players will want to keep coming back for. Metroid is one of those series that people basically want to keep coming back for because it's such a great series. Not that many people know about Metroid. They've only heard about Metroid. This one fan-made game brought quite a few numbers back to why they loved Metroid. When somebody makes something that reminds you of why you liked it to begin with, that's worth talking about. And I mean, there have been many times that we of Random Co-op usually find these games, or usually you find these games, these ROM hacks, and they don't even scratch the surface of actually, making it a proper ROM hack. It's like you go to SMW Central. They make proper ROM hacks. They're fan-based games, but they are workable fan-based games. They aren't like, it's not like, a terrible ROM hack of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, and then just saying, oh, well, I'm just going to change them up to raccoons, squirrels, or something. I'm going to change them to dolphins and whatnot. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. If you can't make a proper ROM hack, no, I don't do ROM hacks. But even if I do, everything has to fall in place. You just can't screw up on a game and make it unplayable. That's the last thing you want to do. That's the last thing you ever want to do for your own people. You don't want to just say, oh hey, I'm just gonna make a ROM hack of this game, and then just cookie cut. Do splashes of paint, finger paint it, and then screw up the character itself. I'm like, no, you don't do that. You really don't. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to make a game break. When you're doing a ROM hack, you're supposed to at the very least, modify the game to which it can still work, but yet it can play this all the same. That's one guy. This one guy that made headlines. This is what most people should strive for when they make a video game. I'm not talking about professional. I'm talking about even the fan base. The fan base should have a say, and not just say, that's not what you do. You basically, if you like what you see and you want to make more of it and make people want to just make them really look, then by all means. It's like with Kickstarter. There are some people who would use Kickstarter for their own means. Some of them would be good. And some ideas would be good, some ideas not so good. Like, say, Mighty Number 9. Now, former Konami exec Keiji Inafune and his team at Concept, they made Mighty Number 9. And even he knows that if it wasn't going to be good, at least he knows. He says, I take responsibility for it. That if it's not good, well, it's better than nothing. I'm sorry. That's all he can do. And not that many people will actually do that. Not that many people these days would actually take responsibility and therefore just say, if it doesn't work out, you can blame me for it. So that's the reason why I can't be mad about Mighty Number 9. It's like, it's the first game. It's basically Mega Man 1 on hard mode. That's all it really is. And possibly, maybe what they did wasn't the desired effect they wanted. They didn't want the desired effect that, oh, this is going to be better than Mega Man. And pointing out, there's not going to be a game like Mega Man. But there can be series that have been inspired by Mega Man. Many ROM hacks have been inspired by Mega Man. So let's look at it like this. This game was inspired by Mega Man. Even though it was cookie cutter, it was basically another version of Mega Man. Like, say, this is an alternate reality in which this Mega Man is named Beck. And instead of destroying robots, he purifies them by, taking them down in combat, grabbing their cells, using their powers for his own, and basically waking them up from what seemed to be a nightmare. It's pretty much the same thing as what Mega Man would be doing in the main universe. And the same thing applies. After taking out the Robot Masters, go to the source, try to take down the source, or therefore fix it. That's all Mighty Number 9 really was. It's just basically, if not a successor, then it's something of in the shadow of another series, which is okay. Now, most people didn't like it because it's not what they were expecting. They weren't expecting... they were expecting another Mega Man game. But this is not what people wanted. But some people were okay with it because it played similar to Mega Man. Even though it was a little harder, you basically played it out like if it was Mega Man. And as I stated before, developers you should just keep doing what you should be doing. Making a game. Game designers, developers, that sort of thing. Those in the position of creative control, that's what you guys should be focusing on. Money will come when it comes. But the most important thing of all is getting the project done. And making sure it doesn't turn out like shit. You make sure that all the bugs are taken care of. Don't rush it out. Make sure that everything is in order. That means making sure that when you multi-port it, you don't get no glitches, no bugs, no anything like that. And most importantly, as long as it plays the way it's supposed to play, then that's all that should matter. Now what people's expectations of it, that varies. Some can say it's shit, some can say it's beautiful, some can say It's not what I expected. Some say it is what I expected. You know, you got to play the field. You can't just like, well, if it's not good, then this game is not good enough to be put to stores and whatnot. But it will always be the same. People will buy it just because it's a name. It's a name. Word of mouth is the most powerful advertisement ever known. That's what most people don't understand. Word of mouth is the most powerful advertisement of all. While you can actually talk about it, actually you can look at it on TV and you can talk about it. The one thing that is the most powerful advertisement of all is word of mouth. And you try it because your friends tried it. You played a demo or whatnot. And it's the same thing with movies. If you're gonna make a good movie, please don't make it a shadow of or a remaking. If you're actually gonna do it properly. Don't try to just like say, nope, I'm not gonna do it. It's just no, I can't do it. I'm not gonna do it. We're gonna do it this way. No, creative control is for everyone. And people should realize that. This guy didn't mind wanting to put a cease and desist. But he did what he had to do. And I can find no fault in what he just did. He made what many others wanted. And many others wanted what this one guy did. He put down what a whole team could have done in so many years, in so little time. In which, that's what the game developer teams should be doing, should be working on, should be focusing on. But it should not be about, oh, hey, let's just get this thing done and ship it out just so we can work on something else. No. You have to put time into it. It's like a good book. Like I'm an author. And a good book doesn't come that easily. It might take me months. It might take me years. It might take me maybe a decade just to make another good book or a good series. You don't know, so it has to take time. It has to take effort. Everything has to fall in place. So you just can't not be rushed and consider yourself, oh, I could do this in, oh, hey guys, we could do this in like eight years or so. No. Some things don't take that long. I mean, I consider what this guy did as a gift. He did it because he loved the series. And that's what you're supposed to do. You do certain things as a project because you love it. You don't do it for money. You do it because you love it. And you'll be surprised that most people will be awestruck by it just because this one person did it because they loved it. Simple as that. What's wrong with that, But I think that's all I have to say about this subject. Because this was, like I said, this to me, as a gamer, I can only give this guy who made AT2E a thumbs up. A double thumbs up. Just because that basically said, that's as far as my love will take for the series go. I will do this not for myself, but I will do this for those who have been fans of the series for a long time and I have nothing but the utmost respect for that. So I think that'll do it for this issue. For this issue of the Tenkai Talk. So next week, hopefully we get something more positive just to keep this train going. So I've been your friendly neighborhood Tenkaichi Pukigezi7, and this was the Tenkai Talk. Stick around for more videos, more great content. I'll see you soon with some more good stuff. Till then, take care, God bless, and as always, Tenkai Muso.